Hello again, and welcome to another episode of the Fun Fans Podcast. It is week one, baby. Week one. We are in the midst of it. I'm your host, James Dillard. With me, as always, my co-host, Bailey Jackson. How you doing, Bailey?
I'm good. Week one of college football season underway currently. Only lasts like 5 days.
That's right. It's the second most wonderful time of the year. All right, but we are here, and we have a great show. We're going to talk about the important games, of course, the matchups this weekend. We're going to point out the good fan stuff and the bad fan stuff, okay? The games, y'all know about the games. The coaches are going to do the coaching. We're all about the fun fan experience. We're going to point out some pros and cons that we've seen this weekend. And finally, we are going to preview the Clemson Duke game tomorrow night. But first, the Fun Fans are a proud part of the Fanboys Fangirls Sports Podcasting Network. If you're a true sports fan, the Fanboys Fangirls is perfect for you. Find various nationwide podcasts and other sports media at thefanboys.com and all forms of social media. The Fun Fans Podcast is the official podcast for Clemson fans.
And don't forget about Reuben's Food, Sports, Spirits, and Catering, the best wings around, with 2 locations in the upstate, 1083 Batesville Road in Greer and 11028 Anderson Road in Piedmont. You can find them at ReubensC.com. Reubens is simply a great place to eat for all sports fans.
And we will be there tomorrow night. They're having all-you-can-eat wings for something that starts with a 1, $18.99, $17.99, one or the other. The party starts at 4. The Fun Fans will be there. Well, half of I will be there about 6. Bailey, I believe, is going to be in
Durham, North Carolina.
Durham, North Carolina. All right, so let's preview some games here, some game highlights of what has happened so far, and what kind of sports show would we be without talking about the Colorado prime timers, baby. How about Neon Dion and those kids out of Boulder, Colorado, the Buffaloes? I mean, that was awesome. Did you see that game?
I did watch that game. 86 new players on a roster from last year to this year. So you can say that team went 1-11 last year, but that team did not go 1-11.
Correct. That would be correct. My only point was going to be, it's amazing how we think alike so much, Bailey. That was going to be, you hear all these guys, this team went 1-11. It was not that team. That team last year that went 1-11 no longer exists in just a matter of time. And I don't know if they were saying that for dramatic TV purposes, or do they not understand the transfer portal? Deion Sanders simply did. He used all of the tools available to him to create the bet. If we've known forever, it's been all about winning. So he came in and he used all the tools he had available to him to win as soon as possible. So to me, more power to him.
Yeah, and I'm not going to take anything away from them beating TCU. TCU played in the national championship game last year, playing at home. Yep. They lost their offensive coordinator. Yeah, they have a new quarterback who, by the way, is Chad Morris's son, former Clemson offensive coordinator. But here's the deal. Let's not make too much out of, these guys that he has. He has 4- and 5-star guys on his roster, including Bentley, who used to play linebacker at Clemson University, is one of his starting linebackers. So he's got some good players, and his son, the quarterback, was a 4-star recruit out of high school.
Those players are extremely talented. I mean, it's literally, he simply did what any other good coach and good recruiting staff would have done, 5, 10, 20 years ago in 2 or 3, maybe 4 years. You remember back in the day, you get a new coach, you got to give him at least 2 years, if not 3 or 4, to quote unquote turn the program around. Well, with the transfer portal now, and especially NIL, you no longer have to wait that long. So more power to him. He just used the tools available, like I said. And the last thing we will point out on this podcast about that game is just imagine the fun fan experience they're going to have next week in Boulder when the Cornhuskers come to, who knows? That could be a one-hit. I don't think it's going to be a one-hit wonder, by the way. I think they're going to be a good team. They are definitely bowl bound, in my opinion. Who knows if they'll compete for any?
They have some serious talent,
They have some
and
very serious
Nebraska
talent.
does not.
Yeah, well, and that's So they're likely going to be 2-0.
Right.
And they are they're going to be Buffalo fans coming out of the wood. Get the bandwagons ready because it's on like Donkey Kong in Boulder, and more power to them. Like I say, it was like, you remember last year, first couple weeks of the season, we were talking about what it was like to be an App State fan, jumping in ponds and stuff. So
Yeah,
big time fun for them. So next game on our list is number 3, Ohio State. Solid
boring
team. Yeah. And see, the thing, in my opinion, of course, they had mediocre quarterback play. They just, to be the number 3 team, and not that they can't do it, but that quarterback has a lot of development. He's first start and all that stuff, of course, blah, blah, blah. But how they have those cats ranked at number 3 right now is beyond me. He's got a long way to go, or they are not a playoff team with that type of quarterback play.
However, as I've said before, rankings are irrelevant at this point of the season.
Irrelevant. That is,
it's just something for people to talk about.
That's right. If he don't get better, they're going to fall in the rankings. They really can't go much higher. They're already sitting where they need to be to make the playoffs. But
right. I don't see it right now. They would not beat Michigan for sure, or Penn State.
That is correct. That is correct. Next item on the list, Texas with another highly touted preseason quarterback. Not impressed. Bailey?
Didn't watch a lot of Texas game. I don't watch Texas because they are the most I mean, how do you not win at Texas? I just don't understand. You have everything at your disposal. But anyway.
They're not playing LSU and Alabama, and Auburn and Georgia and week in and week out. So, yeah, that's a good question. I think they seem like a solid team. They're better than they were last year. There's going to be tons of hype. I think they're going to give Alabama a run for their money. And really, like I say, they're an excellent team. It's just people are putting the quarterback on some type of pedestal and just inconsistent accuracy. And a good quarterback, but not that, Deshaun Watson, Trevor Lawrence, Bryce Young type, elite quarterback. And, he's got a year to grow into it. Or he's got about 6 more days. But we'll see. All right.
Here's the thing with me. All right. I'm gonna change the subject for just a minute.
Let's do it.
I'm not really changing the subject. We are spoiled as Clemson fans. All right. We saw 2 of the best college quarterbacks to ever play in a series of like 6 years, between Deshaun Watson, Trevor Lawrence. All right. So anybody else, since that's fresh on our mind, is going to look like they're not quite as good. Now, your next point, Southern Cal, the USC,
yes,
and Notre Dame's quarterbacks are very impressive. Of course, we know Sam Hartman and the USC quarterback Williams won the Heisman, did he not?
Yes.
He's already in the Heisman house.
He's a sophomore in college, and he's in the Heisman house. Him and George Rogers are hanging out like peeps.
Right. Right.
But yeah. I mean, I don't mean to knock those quarterbacks too much. I'm just referring to what we've seen, like you say, what we've seen, but not just us, Alabama fans, Ohio State fans. Every college fan should know what it takes at the quarterback spot to, maybe not make the playoffs, but win in the playoffs. And those guys just don't seem to be there yet at Texas or Ohio State. But yeah, Southern Cal, Notre Dame with their 7-year senior COVID year, red shirt year, Sam Hartman, he's got grandkids and whatnot. They're going to have a good season. That's going to be something when they play Southern. We had Nathan on here last week talking about that game when they play us. And I think Southern Cal has scored 138 points in 2 games. Thereabouts.
Well, I just looked at it.
It's
Hold 56 the first week,
yeah,
and then what did they score yesterday?
I want to say it
A
was 60
gazillion.
something. Yeah.
66.
Yeah, a ton of points. So that's 142. So and that they were not alone in scoring a lot of points. I think I saw 3 teams scored over 60 points this past weekend. So
brings me to my next note, James.
A lot of points being scored, which is
well, it is. I hope Arkansas State and Portland State received huge paychecks yesterday because Oklahoma took care of Arkansas State 73-0.
Wow.
And then Portland State went down to Oregon and gave up 81 points in a football game. Let's hope they got 100,000 per point or something that they gave up.
They got the big paychecks, without a doubt. I hope. All right, so the last game that we are going to, unless you have more on your mind, the Carolina Bowl in Charlotte, the Dukes Mayonnaise preseason kickoff,
classic,
Queen City, battle at the border, Carowinds on my mind. So first thing I'll say is I was wrong in my prediction, which that's what happens with us. That's why I never claimed to be a professional, which even the professionals get it wrong. I predicted a shootout, 40-something to 50-something. Whoever had the ball at the end might win the game, etc. That was not the case. Somewhere, North Carolina, their defensive front, once again, only 1 week under the belt, they look like studs, flat out studs.
North Carolina had 17 sacks total last year and hung 9 sacks on the South Carolina offensive line.
Unreal. What a turnaround. And the thing is, that's what you always wonder early in the season. Did they play that well, or did South Carolina play that poorly? Rattler didn't seem to be. I mean, normally he escapes a lot of pressure and, he would run around and still gain a bunch of yardage and whatnot, but they did a great job containing him, or he just didn't seem
running for his life, man.
Maybe that's what it was. But at first it seemed kind of, tit and tat back and forth, whatever. That lasted about a quarter and a half. And then it wasn't a blowout. We're not trash talkers on here. If any Gamecock fans, y'all know, hopefully, that we're not trash talkers. We just keep it real. But it felt like a blowout, even though South Carolina was only down by 2 scores, last quarter and a half of the game. But it was because they couldn't run the ball. When you can't run the ball, you're not going to win.
No, and Drake May threw 2, probably had 2 poor decisions. Both of them were picked off.
Yeah. And that's so. I mean, South Carolina did some good things. They were so bad in that one area as far as stacking up against their defensive front, pass protection, and
run game.
The run game
was not good.
That it just messed them up. I'm gonna tell you something that is good. I'm going off script for 1 second. The Fun Fans have a new promo code for you. We're gonna put this link out there. Dubby, I guess I should, however you pronounce it. We are partners with Energy Drink, Dubby Energy Drink. Okay. So we're going to put this link out because nobody's going to remember that link or be able to type it in, but you can enter a promo code FUNFANS and get 10% off of Dubby Energy Drink. So we're going to be checking that out too now as we're partners. So new partnership for the Fun Fans. Looking forward to that.
And maybe next week we can just get a QR code to pop up there and people can scan it while they're watching.
There you go. Literally just happened over the weekend. So that's why we're a team working together. All right.
That's it, baby.
Speaking of, what was the fan experience like? So we have this might be a segment. I tell you what, we should intro it with some music. And this could be a new segment. No, we got to intro it with different music than that. All right, so here we go. We're going to talk about good and bad, some pros and cons, the good fan experience versus the bad fan experience. What happened this weekend? First of all, some really, really good. I am a YouTube TV guy, And YouTube TV has stepped up their game with the multi-view. For those of you listening on audio only, you do not see the picture, but you can imagine a big screen TV with 4 games going at the same time. So shout out to YouTube TV. Look at there. Harold was watching 4 games. On the flip side, the bad. This is bad. Charter Spectrum. What are y'all doing? The day before week 1. Come on, Charter Spectrum.
Well, it's really genius if you think about it, because they're trying to negotiate with the Disney channels,
right?
And they do it before college football because they know people will email who they're supposed to email.
Yeah.
Happened to me. Hey, don't tell Fubo TV, but I had to get a free 7-day trial so I could watch some of the games.
Well, that's, I think it slowed down my YouTube TV because everybody in the country now has a 30-day free trial of YouTube TV.
Right.
And hey, they're not a sponsor, but hey, look at their YouTube. Bring it on.
Maybe they should be.
I love you. Yeah, I love YouTube TV. They've done right by me. All right, so another good. I don't have a picture, but College Game Day was in Charlotte. My favorite sign, and this is one of those, if you know, you know. If you're from our area, you'll get it. But the sign that said, the winner gets Carowinds. So I thought that was good. Good job to that fan. The bad. This is one of those things maybe only I noticed. During the Utah-Florida game, it's like you couldn't hear any background noise. Normally you watch a game, you're at home, but you're getting into it, and you can hear the crowd yelling and screaming and whatever. But it's like, it was like there was no crowd noise. And they were talking about how packed the stadium was. Did you watch any of that game?
No, I was working.
No, you had some JV football probably, but
well,
yeah, like I say, it's one of them things maybe only somebody like myself is going to notice, but it's just not a good experience if you can't get into it with the crowd. But here's some more good stuff. You had to have seen at least one of these. And once again, Dr. Pepper is not a sponsor of the Fun Fans podcast, even though they probably should be.
Not yet.
Not going to try to show or even describe the new Fansville commercials, but the new Fansville commercials are on point. They're pretty darn funny. Good job, Dr. Pepper, Fansville commercial people.
Hey, the old ones are good too.
Yeah. All right, back to the bad. The stadium, speaking of the number 3 ranked team in the country, Ohio State, they're playing at Indiana, and they zoom out, and the stadium, it wasn't even near full.
Right.
I don't understand that. Explain that to me.
Well, you think even though Ohio State fans would scoop up all the tickets, but it was like 110 degrees on the field for that game yesterday. So
maybe so, but you got the number 3 team in the country. A lot of just football fans will come watch. Anyway, like to see some full stadiums. We'll talk about a full stadium here in a minute. But we're going to end with a good, and we've really already pointed this out, but we are in the middle of 5 days straight of college football to kick off the season. So it's hard to beat that, and that is definitely a good thing as far as the good and bad.
Well, we're not ending with good because I have bad.
Oh, wait a minute.
I have another bad. Sorry.
All right, well, that's a good thing because I forgot to put the little thing up there. So now we got the good and bad fan experiences
all right,
of the
so
week.
Just from this weekend, all right, number 1, I mean, for me, hey, Deion Sanders, great job. However, when your own game is on television, when Colorado's playing, I saw Aflac commercials with Deion in it and California almond commercials with Deion in it. Why is Deion Sanders working for California almonds? Okay.
Are you saying that's bad?
It's just the guy's on the sidelines, and then he's making more money on my TV during the game. So it's
to me, I noticed that too, Bailey. You're sitting there watching Deion and watching him coach and watching his team, and you're also watching him during the commercials. I noticed that as well, and during all the other games, him and Nick Saban. What's Nick Saban? We never said anything bad when it was Nick Saban.
Aflac. Now, another thing that is bad, I think, and this is just my opinion, is that starting next week, the ACC Network has added another time slot to their television coverage. So why is the Clemson game next weekend at 2:15, you ask? Is because they added an 11 a.m. kickoff to their schedule. It's going 11 a.m., 2:15, 5:30, and 8:30. So they were able to squeeze another game in there. And I hope that we never have the 11 a.m. kickoff.
Holy cuss words. Yeah, no, we don't. That makes me want to turn the music off.
2:15 in early September is going to be bad enough.
That will not be a fun fan experience at 11 o'clock. I'm telling you what we're going to do. We're going to roll up in there at halftime.
Yeah, well, get there early, stay late.
Yeah. So that is the good and bad fan experience of the week. I think that could be a segment that we have. That might be our new segment for this season. So versus the Porta Johns, since our kids don't want us to bring the Porta John segment of the week back, maybe we do a good and bad.
I promise you're going to get an update about Duke's toilet situation.
This is true.
I promise.
We're going to work that in regardless. All right. Yeah. So speaking of the ACC, it is our time. It is our time. It's time for the listeners out there now on the audio later, on the video later, on the recording to hear what the two smartest people on the internet have to say about adding California, Stanford, and SMU to the ACC. Southern, what's the S stand for? Southern Methodist. Southern Methodist University. All right. Bailey, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, rumor has it that Florida State, North Carolina, and Clemson voted no.
That's right. We said.
I mean, okay, it's got to be the All Coast Conference now.
Coast to Coast Conference.
Added Stanford and Cal, which are both in the Northern California area.
West side. Yep.
And SMU, which is in Dallas. And Dallas, if you've never been by SMU, it's just like right off. It's just like right there, right off the main interstate. And you go, man, that does not look like somewhere I'd enjoy going to college because it's just right in the middle of everything, in Dallas. But good friend of mine did coach receivers at SMU for a year and he loved it. So, hey, let's go. And SMU supposedly is not taking any of the money. And then California and Stanford are only taking 30% of the television money that they are for being part of a conference, our conference, ACC.
They're in a bad spot. So the new name, and I thought of this, and also one of the other fanboys, I think it was Jay, put this in some conversation we were having. The name of the conference is, and I'm sure other people have thought of it as well, but the Coast to Coast Conference versus the ACC. So I think that sounds pretty cool. And I think it's, if we need more money, it's all about money now, right? It's all about money now. So it goes back to my little rant, people complaining about NIL and the Olympic sports and the kids going to class. Too late. All the talking heads should have kept the NCAA should have stepped up and kept amateur sports amateur. Kids going to go to school. If they would have kept that a priority, we wouldn't be having these conversations and having this talk. But that ship has sailed. It's all about money. So that's a way to bring in more money. If Clemson, and this is my personal thoughts on the thing, and you've said the same thing before. We're not ACC fans. I don't see ACC in my. It's on that field down there in the background somewhere, but I'm not an ACC fan. I'm a Clemson fan.
I don't have an ACC sticker on my truck.
I do not have an ACC sticker. I'm not wearing an ACC hat. So when whatever the ACC does is, I don't say irrelevant, but I don't really care. I'll worry about what Clemson does, and the folks at Clemson are going to do. I'm 100% confident that in the long term and as best they can in the short term, they're going to do what they have to do to provide a high quality athletic experience, both for the athletes and for the fans. So like you say, bring it on. The West Coast, Texas, Dallas, it don't matter. And you tell me, so we're both educators. The people that are talking about these kids and their classes and the midweek games and all this kind of stuff. I mean, they're just making up stuff to whine about this situation, because I have a daughter in grad school. You know how often she actually goes to class now?
Right. So what COVID taught us is that you really don't have to go to class.
Right. And so when does our baseball team play? Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I mean, they're going to take weekend trips probably once for us, for the current ACC members. It'll be one West Coast trip in a year, and it's most likely going to be over a weekend.
Put this
For
in
those
perspective.
guys, huh?
Put it in perspective like this. My daughter is cheering at Duke tomorrow night. She will get on a charter bus and they will ride to Duke, which is from Clemson is about 5.5 hours probably.
Yeah.
You can get on a plane in Greenville, Spartanburg, and be at California in like 4.5 hours, 5 hours.
Correct.
Okay. Dallas is like 2 hours and 40-minute flight.
Or so less. Yeah.
Yeah. And it may cost a little bit more, but you know what? It's not going to cost that much more. So
I had a buddy of mine ask me, because we were talking about it. He said, think back when you were in college. If the school was going to pay for you to go out west to California and do something for the school, but the worst case was it was going to cause you to miss some classes, would you have cared? And I said, no. And then, like you said, thinking about it now, you can watch the class online. They can be on the plane and be in class virtually.
Right.
So whatever the class, and that's aside from the argument that it's all about, they should have brought this mess up when they were worried about the money, but it's all about money now. So don't give me this kids are suffering stuff, and the class can't be the priority and money be the priority at the same time. So they've picked their poison. So, and the kids are they're going to figure it out. I mean, you're an athletic director. Coastal Carolina played in the Rose Bowl last night. Granted, it was on the weekend. It's football once again. But you think the basketball teams are going to fly out to the West Coast for a midweek game? They're going to schedule those games on the weekend.
Right.
The baseball team, same thing. Volleyball team, they're going to do the best they can.
It will be done to minimize. Like, you'll take one trip out to the Clemson volleyball team will take one trip to the West Coast and play both schools while they're there.
Correct. And they'll attend their classes.
It's happening.
They're attend their class virtually. Oh, it's happening.
Right.
But they need to listen to people that are saying, oh, they're missing class.
They should just listen to our podcast.
They just need to listen to the podcast. All right, B. Speaking of coast to coast, things happening all over the country. Let's do one thing first.
Okay.
Did you see Nebraska's volleyball? This is big time.
I did.
This is, we talked about filling up a stadium. So Nebraska's volleyball team set a new world record for the most people in attendance at any women's athletic event. I wanted to say that correctly. 92,003 people. I mean, look at that. If you're online, if you're listening to audio, you can't see, but this is a picture. I mean, their football stadium is slam full. The volleyball court set up in the middle, like the Thrilla they would put a boxing ring in a stadium or something. And then it's surrounded by people as well. And that was an unbelievable event, a very good thing for women's sports and Nebraska volleyball. Apparently they're pretty good.
Yeah, must be.
Yeah. And that was a really, really cool fan experience. So happy for that. We watched every play. It was awesome. So give us
it's cool. I mean, they said, let's set a world record. And guess what? That was easy.
They did it. All right. Speaking of world records, how the O's doing?
Still up 2.5 games in the East. Couple weeks left. It's the greatest sports story no one knows about if you don't watch baseball. But I will continue to keep you posted because it's awesome. And just watching it now, they're tied up 4-4 in the 6th inning. So we got some game left today.
What was there? Is there a golf tournament we need to know about?
No, golf. The tour championship was last week, so they
No.
have a few weeks off, and then they start their fall
All right.
season, wraparound season. It's called.
The wraparound season. All
That's it.
righty then. All right. So, anything else before we get to the big contest between Duke and Clemson?
No, let's talk about that.
Duke and Clemson. Look at that graphic. Took up the whole screen.
Nice.
Yeah, it's good stuff. All right. So, you're going.
I
First
am.
of all, you're going to be there. I'm going to be at Rubens. Have I mentioned that I'm going to be at Rubens? They're having an all-you-can-eat wing promo.
You did mention that.
Oh, it's awesome. So Duke's also getting some props. A lot of people think Duke's pretty good, which is not out of the ordinary. There are years where they were pretty good last year.
9 wins last year, like 19 starters back, but no worries, mate.
Yep, quarterback's supposed to be pretty good. Is that I mean, we're gonna have to play. We can't. Everybody brings their A game against Clemson. That's the thing. Even though we, like you said, we're spoiled as Clemson fans. We might look at last year and think we had a down season. We did not have a down. We were the conference champions, and we're always in the national talk. And we're top 10 team coming to Durham. Duke's going to bring their A game. Clemson's got to play. But we want to make any predictions?
Yeah, I'm going to predict that Clemson is going to win in similar fashion to like maybe a little bit more than North Carolina beat South Carolina last night. And I'll just have to see, you know, they're hyping this thing up. Duke's done all this promo stuff, yet there are tickets available online everywhere.
Well, they have to hype it up because it's the only game.
Right.
And not just Duke, but, you know, ESPN, you know, the Disney people that aren't on the Good Talks with Charter, those folks,
right.
They have to hype it up because people got to watch. And the spread has come down to about 12.5 points or so. So Clemson has to, I would just like to see them play a clean, mistake-free. And if they do that, I think they'll win, you know, whatever, run the ball, good balance, no turnovers, yada, yada, yada type stuff. And it should turn out okay. And if it don't, it'll be extremely exciting. So,
well,
I'm
sure they'll be fired up and ready to go. So,
yeah. On a more important prediction, on a scale from 0 to lit, Bailey, where do you think Duke's tailgating scene will fall?
I'm not going to go with. I'm going to go with like a 4.
Half lit.
Yeah, it's going to be sort of lit.
It's going to be semi.
Sort of.
All right. Very good. Well, speaking of, Bailey's going because his daughter is cheering. This is one of her. She's on the cheer squad if you're new to our show. And not only that, and I don't have a picture because it kind of, I think it happened late today, but is there some, I think there's an announcement that might need to be made about Katie and the cheer squad.
Yeah, she's one of the 3 captains for the all-girls cheer squad, and you can check that out on my Instagram at Blue Eagle AD.
That's right.
Yeah, but you know, she was there's about 30 girls on the all-girls team, and she was selected as one of the captains, so we're very proud of her for that.
Yep, that's awesome. And speaking of giving shout-outs to, we'll say kids because they're kids to us, our boy, the only 2-time guest on the Fun Fans podcast, Jalen Lane, had a really good game last night. A couple of catches, or 70. No, I can't remember the yardage. I know he had 1 touchdown at least, though.
Yeah, he scored the first touchdown of the season. I would have to go get the numbers, but Jalen is he's going to be a pro, and he will not tell you that, but he's going to be because. And I called that when he was a junior in high school.
He can he runs really good routes and he catches the ball.
Everything.
And he's like Hunter Renfrow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
he's probably faster.
Yeah, I mean he's a great person. That makes it even better.
Yeah. So props to Jalen. I hate he didn't land in Clemson.
That's all right.
But anyway, all right. So what is definitely going to be lit is Rubens and us coming back Wednesday. So starting this week, Clemson's playing tomorrow night. We're going to start a Wednesday night kind of preview podcast real quick and do that all through football season. I'm thinking 8 p.m. Bailey, is that going to work? 8 p.m.?
Yep. Going to have to be for me this Wednesday.
Yeah, there's probably going to be something. That time might fluctuate a little bit, but we're going to make that work. And really, I should say this, and I should have put the stuff in front of me. I'll just leave it at this. We have some really cool guests coming next Sunday. They were lined up for today, and they had to postpone until next Sunday. And we'll just tease it. You'll see. We'll announce it. I'll announce it later this week. But it's going to be it's a really cool guest coming, and it does have to do with Clemson and female sports. So, but what else is really cool, Bailey?
Anything you get at Diamond Etch Products, where they have mastered the diamond laser engraving process, and they can put almost any design on items such as license plates, yard signs, tumblers, water bottles, and much more. It's awesome stuff, and you need to check out Diamond Etch Products at diamondetchproducts.com, or you can email Jaylin, Jaylin, at diamondetchproducts.com. And Diamond Etch Products is now an officially licensed partner with Clemson University, so you can get all your cool stuff for your yard, for your car, for your tailgate at diamondetchproducts.com. So check it out.
That's right. Email Jaylin, let us know. And we appreciate that. It was a great show. So happy for Colorado, all the winners this weekend. We're excited, and we're looking forward to a great season. Come see us next Saturday on Centennial Extension. Look for the Fun Fans banner. Just come on out to the Fun Fans tailgate. It's going to be, I'm ready. Okay, there's going to be a surprise, but I'm ready. Even Bailey's going to be surprised. And tune in this Wednesday for our next show, and next Sunday for another great show. There's one more thing. Do I have a graphic for this? No, I didn't do a graphic. Bailey, this is our 1-year anniversary of the podcast.
Yeah, my 1-year anniversary will be next week, right?
Nah, I guess so. So the Fun Fans, we're 1 year old, and just want to take this moment to tell everybody that's been our supporters. Rubens, J Dude, Diamond Etch Products, the Fanboys, WSBN TV, and all the listeners. We do appreciate the support, and we look forward to more fun times ahead. And I can get to stuff quicker. No, if I knew where these things were.
I'm sure it's hard to do sitting in the stadium like that.
Yeah. Now I'm trying to get us some music on our way out. So thanks again for checking us out. I bought a mouse. See, I'm an amateur, but now I'm getting there.
Hey, go Tigers. Go
Tigers. Thanks again for checking us out each and every week. Don't forget to click subscribe on the Fun Fans Podcast YouTube channel, as well as your favorite podcast platform. Follow us on social media and share, please. All links mentioned and archive shows can be found on the Fanboys website. Links will also be posted along with the show on Facebook and Twitter. On behalf of the Fun Fans Podcast, Jay Thrilla Entertainment, the Fanboys Fangirls Podcast Network, and Bailey Jackson,
we out.
Thanks for listening, and go Tigers.
Go Tigers.